BKS Iyengar says, "Let the goal be to reach perfection, but be content with a little progress toward perfection every day." I love this. Being content with a little bit of progress, always challenging ourselves to grow more and more, a little bit at a time. That's what I'm working with today in this morning's practice. Perseverance, continued effort over time, continuing to roll out my mat when I don't want to, rolling out my mat when I do want to, rolling out my mat when I have children climbing on top of me. Going forward to plank, feeling the strength of my belly and getting a nice side stretch. On the other side, I'm going to be playing with some arm balances and inversions and hopefully working into some back bends this morning. Coming up into a lunge, toning my muscles from my feet up to my hips and pressing from my hips to my feet, from my hips up through my heart, using my core to twist in either direction and then tipping it back for reverse lunge, getting another side stretch. I love this little series of poses put together, then coming into a low lunge with a quad twist. Such terrific stretch for that psoas, keeping the top of the back thigh lifted to protect the low back. Chaturanga, curl cobra, downward facing dog. Feeling steady in my muscles, strong. Can I continue to get stronger and more steady in my body, my mind, and my heart? I love practicing showing up when I want to, and more importantly, showing up when I don't. I think that's a really good thing to practice, especially as a friend and a wife and a mom. Sometimes I don't want to show up, but in yoga I learned that I keep showing up and I keep growing. Side note, if you hear sucking noises going on, that's Violet nursing as I record this, opening my heart to help undo all of the nursing I'm doing in that cobra pose. Second warrior pose, keeping the top of the back thigh back, strong muscles to root down so I get that nice rise up through my ribs. Filling myself up with breath. Breath is what gets me through those hard times, those challenging times that I might not necessarily want to show up for. Sage is potty training today, so he was sitting on the potty and now he's asking for some popcorn. First, he gets smothered with some mom kisses. And then I go and get him some popcorn. Coming into half moon pose, steadying my muscles, my mind. Twisting so I don't hit the wall. Standing pigeon, taking the sit bones back, stretching those inner thigh muscles. Deep 6 hip rotator muscles, and then coming up into Utthita Padangusthasana B. I love this pose so much because it was so hard for me to do. I worked on that pose so much over a long period of time, and then I was finally able to do it. Just like a farmer who plants trees, it's not like you plant that seed and then all of a sudden the tree appears. You have to work at that and grow it with a little bit of water and food over time. You don't expect the tree to just fully blossom. It's a long, steady process of showing up and nurturing, just like these yoga poses. I was not someone who just showed up on my mat and could do all of these more advanced yoga postures. They came with steady practice over a long period of time, like 12 years. I also tend to be more mobile, so I have to do quite a bit of effort to stay strong and stable in my body so I don't hyperextend and get injured. Coming back into Skandasana, taking the inner thighs back, again working an inner thigh stretch. Working to keep my shoulders on my back as I curl open, cobra. Taking a quad stretch, keeping my legs hugging the midline, but low belly lift as I drag my chest forward. My abs separated slightly with both of my pregnancies, and so I've had to be really careful with back bends. This is the first morning where I really practice moving into some bigger back bends, but even like that quad stretch, I really have to make sure that my low belly is lifting and engaged so I don't get any back pain. Because ultimately I'm practicing yoga so I can be a happier person, and doing a really big yoga posture, if it brings me back pain, won't make me happier. Coming into a forward fold and a side twist, side stretch. Breathing up into those right ribs. And coming into, I can never pronounce this, I think it's pronounced Bridget's Cross. And really good core cultivation to keep my belly toned and my floating ribs in. Those are two key things that need to happen for me to avoid back pain. Wild thing. Hey, Sage. Taking it into another side arm balance to Uttanasana Konasana side stretch. Lengthening from my hips to my armpits, pulling my ribs in and twisting from the left to the right, and then taking the side stretch, twisting up towards the sky. I love that one. It feels so intense, but good. Into this Bridget's Cross, pulling my ribs in, my low belly in, keeping my sit bones lifted. Back to forearm plank, and then walking it into dolphin to downward facing dog. Pigeon pose, straight forward, hugging the midline, keeping the inner thighs lifted. That'll curve my low back, and then I pull my low belly in. And taking it into a twist, and then into Hanumanasana, another really good example of a pose that took a lot of time to cultivate. May I be steady in myself. May I keep showing up even when things get hard and sensations seem overwhelming. May I not run or hide or freeze. Can I show up and be present in my heart? Hanumanasana is such a good one because the sensation makes me want to just run away. But I tone my muscles so I don't get injured, and I stretch. Yes, this is one of the main peak pose I was working towards, full Vashisthasana, another pose that until recently I couldn't do. This was about a 40-minute practice that I've sped up. So it's a little bit quicker. I think I held this pose where I tried to hold it for about 10 breaths. This side I struggled. I was laughing as doing it because I knew I was filming and I was struggling. Taking it into a back bend again. Don't practice many back bends these days with my low belly separation, so I really have to do a lot of work to keep that strength. Sitting down, connecting to what matters, not the full version of the pose, but being present, learning to keep showing up for myself, for my loved ones, for the planet. In these inversions, I'm working on seeing if I can be a little bit more erratic, I guess, with my limbs, taking my limbs in a more challenging directions in that windmill to see if I can still stay centered. Just like in life, can I let the chaos in my life happen but still stay centered? And practicing in handstand to find my center, my stillness within the chaos of moving parts. Handstand, another pose that needed a lot of perseverance, a lot of showing up continuously over a long period of time. Pinchamani-Vrasana, hugging the midline, pressing down powerfully through my arms and stretching up through my toes. I can always stretch a little bit more. I can always grow a little bit more. I can always tone a little bit more. Growth happens by improving a tiny little bit over time, not by repeating the same things. So now setting up for Urdhva Dhanurasana, I like using the baseboards because I can plug the head of my arm bones into the back of my heart to help keep my shoulders really healthy. Now I'm going to go up into Dvipada. So So I go up to the top of my head, I plant my forearms on the floor, nestling the head of my arm bones back and into the bottom of my heart, press down through my forearms and drive my heart to the wall, go back up to Urdhva Dhanurasana and down. A really great back bend. I was able to keep my back out of pain. That's what matters. I could do a massive back bend, but it would hurt my low back, and that's not what I want in my life. I want to learn how to not hurt myself. I'm into Supta Padangusthasana B, and my favorite twist, which Sienna Sherman calls mantra missile. Rooting my thigh bone, pressing the top of my thigh back towards my hamstring, clears my low back. Opening up into Supta Padangusthasana B, and then mantra missile. Violet woke up from her nap, so I went and got her. I'm going to do a little bit of pranayama while she is still calm. I'm going to do Nadi Shodhana pranayama. So I take my fingers to either side of my nose. I pinch off the air to my right nostril and exhale through my left. Close off the air to my left nostril. Inhale through my right. Exhale through my right. Close off the air to my right. Inhale through my left. Exhale through my left. Close off the air to my left. And continue to repeat that. Then I'm going to connect with Violet and I'm going to sing one of my favorite mantras, Loka Samasta Sukhinu Bhavantu. It means may all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my actions, words, and deeds contribute to that peace and happiness for all.
Chanting Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Should we go find a cape for you to wear? Ooh, I think there's one in your room.